G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Where's My Yowie. Today, I'm reading an old newspaper report about a Yowie sighting at the Megalong Valley, Blue Mountains in 1925. So we'll get into it. This was published in the Kyogle Examiner on Wednesday, the 11th of March, 1925, titled Wild Man. A shooting party from Sydney, consisting of Alderman A.J. Burney, Mr. Hugh Mackin, Managing Director of Mark Foy's, Dr. Pitar, and Mr. Mark Foy Jr., tell how they saw what they describe a wild man in the Megalong Valley on Saturday evening. They had pulled up at what is known as Haunted House, and while inspecting the layout of the country, saw an individual a short distance away, entirely nude, with long hair on his head and face, and a hairy body. He appeared to be very tall, and when the party gave chase, disappeared into the bush. An examination of the footmarks later showed them to be of unusual size. There is reasonable evidence that there is a hermit living in the vicinity. Previous shooting parties have observed footmarks of unusual proportions, which, by the spread, show them to be those of an individual who goes about without foot covering. Alderman Burney states that the party spent a restless night following upon their experience. They believe there are other instances of persons having taken to the bush in this manner. Having become demented, they adopt the life which, through experience, becomes nearest to their inclinations. Persons living in the valley state that they are unaware of the existence of any regular inhabitant, such as described the end. Well, that's pretty interesting, that. So they're saying when they saw the Yowie, he was entirely nude with long hair on his head, face, and a hairy body. He was very tall, they said. They tried to chase him and it disappeared. They said it had footmarks of an unusual size, and previous hunting parties have observed footmarks of unusual proportions. They say hasn't got foot coverings, it's barefoot. People were saying might be hermits live in the area, and yes, while hermits have gone into the bush, and I've done a few stories on them, it's a Yowie because I did a story called Far Too Big to Argue With, Yowie sightings in the Blue Mountains in the 1920s, and that was actually the next day that article was published, after this article was published, and that was where three guys were organising the search party to go after the Yowie that they'd seen the day before, and then there was three guys that were talking about they'd seen the Yowie. One guy said he knew a fine chap down there, 6 foot high with a fair foot. Mr. Cooper said he'd seen the thing twice. The first time the horse he was riding shied violently and he was unseated. And then 2 years later he saw one leisurely walk from a rock into the scrub. Mr. Cooper said it was far too big to argue with. He doesn't think it's a man. He said it was a great gorilla of apparently wonderful strength. And a Mr. Noel Patterson of Katoomba swears he saw one about 18 months previous. He reported it, but was treated as a joke. So it's definitely a Yowie down there, because I've done the follow-up story, which I did beforehand, because I only found the other one recently. But it's pretty interesting, this, and I'll post the link to the other story in the comments and below. Okay, that's it from me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.